Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. We got episode 15 for you. We're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie does everything just a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and the music's pretty awesome as well. This movie takes place, I think they said officially like 3 months after the first one, so they kind of happen really close to each other. A few things you need to know about this movie. Best opening scene of any Marvel movie ever. Little baby Groot just dancing his little butt off at the beginning of the movie. Excellent. The songs are just, it's phenomenal. I don't think I've laughed that much, like, continuously at a Marvel movie. It was just a good time. So you need to watch that. If you're going to watch something, watch that. It's just hilarious, even though it has nothing to do with Infinity War. The other thing is, we now finally figure out who Star-Lord's dad is, because you can't be a superhero without daddy issues. We find out that his dad is Ego. His name is Ego, the living planet. He's literally a planet who can turn into like a humanoid form, and we find that his whole story is he's just trying to make a bunch of babies with all sorts of species so he can find somebody like him, and like his offspring would actually turn into a battery, if you will, so he can populate himself across all these planets. He's kind of lacking power, but by having an offspring join him, he's able to basically rule the universe. So that's kind of the plot, and we find out that has allowed Peter Quill the power to basically control the power gem for just a split second at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1. He grabs it from Ronan and holds on to it, and instead of it blowing him up like everyone else, he actually is able to hold it for a bit before the rest of the Guardians help him control it, and that's because he's like half planet, half kind of almost deity, if you will. So Star-Lord finds out that he has some fun powers, and he can like manipulate stuff around him, and so turns out though that the dad, Ego, actually purposefully killed Peter Quill's mom. He put the tumor in his head in her head, because he loved her too much, that if he were to stay with her, he would never do his universe ruling story that he wanted to do. And so this causes him and Peter Quill to finally duke it out. And so also a great scene. You gotta check it out. At one point, Star-Lord turns into a giant Pac-Man, and it's pretty epic. The only other things that you need to know about this movie is Yondu, who was introduced in the first one, kind of as not a good guy, but definitely not a bad guy. He has this like cool arrow that when he whistles, it like flies everywhere and can like hurt people and stuff. But he was kind of the one that raised Star-Lord growing up, and although he maybe wasn't the best at it, he's definitely kind of the father that Peter needed at that time, whereas his true father really sucks. So we get to see Yondu kind of like come in and say like, hey, he may be your dad, but I was always your your father, like I was always the one that took care of you. And unfortunately he dies, but it was a good send-off, and it's a really solid film. And so no Infinity Stones in this one. It's just good, clean family fun, and we get to see the Guardians kind of grow a little bit more. And then Groot finally grows up even more in the end credit scene, so he's like kind of teenage Groot, and that's who we'll see in Infinity War. But for those who don't remember, Groot died technically in the first movie when he saved the Guardians with the crashing ship, and so when that went down, he kind of splintered, and they took one of his splinters and grew it back into what we see as Baby Groot. So I can see it all caught up on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So thanks.